Hello, we're going to read a book called Volcanoes by Mari Shah and Gail Sanders Smith, a PhD consulting editor. This book has a table of contents. What is a volcano? Where volcanoes form, when volcanoes erupt, studying volcanoes. There's also a glossary. Read more. Internet sites and an index. What is a volcano? We know what volcanoes are. Volcanoes are openings in the Earth's surface. They let hot lava, rocks, gas, and ash into the air. Some volcanoes look like mountains. Others are flat and low. Some volcanoes are under the ocean. This is a lovely picture of some volcanic mountains. Where volcanoes form. Most volcanoes form near the edges of continents. Our continent is North America here. Many volcanoes make up the Ring of Fire. This area is in the Pacific Ocean. We live off the Pacific Ocean. So if you go to the beach, that's the Pacific Ocean. And this is us right here. And we have lots of volcanoes around us. I think Oregon is we have the state with the third most volcanoes in the United States. I think Alaska has the most. California, I think, is number 2. I believe we're number 3. And then I think Washington's maybe number 4 for the most volcanoes. We have a lot of volcanoes. North America, I think, in general, has the most volcanoes. And so here is the Pacific Ocean. And so all around here, there is those plates that we learned that move around, right? And so we kind of live on a plate here. So that's why we have a lot of these volcanoes. And then up in Alaska, and I think they're called the Aleutian Islands. And over here in Japan, there's quite a few. And it looks like some islands through here too, off of Asia. And then down here through other Asian islands, Indonesia. And then here, looks like through New Zealand. And then if Hawaii right here is right in the middle, which we know Hawaii is made up of volcanoes. When volcanoes erupt, pressure builds deep inside the earth. We learned about this before when we were learning last week about how volcanoes are formed. And melted rock called magma is pushed up towards the surface out of the mantle. And then maybe even below the mantle, which is that core. We have the outer core, and then in the middle is that inner core. And it pushes towards the surface until the volcano might erupt. And so then all of that turns into lava, we know, as soon as it touches the air, and then it keeps drying and drying, and it starts forming that mountain shape. When magma reaches the surface, it's called lava, and lava flows down the volcano. It covers nearby plants, houses, and trees. Do you think that they would survive that hot lava? I don't think so. But it kills a lot of plants along the way, huh? Ash and dust fill the air. The ash and dust cover everything for miles around the volcano. Must be strange to live in a city nearby and all of a sudden it's raining down all this ash because of that volcano. I remember when we had, bad forest fires in Portland was getting covered with ash from the fires. Just imagine if it was volcanic ash covering everything. Later, life returns to the area and plants and crops begin to grow again. So we know that there's all sorts of trees and plants and things growing on like Mount Hood or Mount St. Helens if you've been there before, or Mount Tabor. It's covered with plants. So even though it kills everything at first because of all that lava, things grow back again. Things grow back and animals come back eventually. Studying volcanoes. Scientists watch volcanoes and measure their activity. They collect and study ash and lava. Volcanologists is that kind of scientist that studies volcanoes. Scientists try to predict when a volcano will erupt. People can be warned to leave the area to stay safe. So the most recent big volcanic explosion here in outside of Portland and Mount St. Helens, that was a big one. And scientists kind of thought it might happen. They've been watching and they're like, there's this big bulge forming. There's this big bulge. It's growing. We think there might be an explosion. So people kind of knew that was coming because scientists warned people like, this might happen soon. Oh, and then we have our glossary where we have the different words that we learned about. And then if you want to read more, here's other books about volcanoes. And then here's internet sites about volcanoes. Maybe I'll have to check this one out. The end.